Everyone, welcome back to another NFL episode of the About Teams podcast. And today we're going to continue our offseason recaps and kind of grades of NFL teams. And we're going to mix it up. We're not going to be boring and just do AFC. We're going to go up to our NFC teams. And probably one of the most interesting divisions, and if not, probably going to be one of the most competitive divisions, the NFC North. As a fan that resides for one of these teams, tomorrow we'll do Lions, Packers, but today we're going to be focused on the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. Nick, if you want to start with what you think, how the Chicago Bears did some of their key moves throughout the draft and offseason, and what would you give them as a grade?
I think this is pretty consensus for any NFL fans to at least give the Bears an A this offseason. I mean, they rebuilt that team, I think, perfectly. They kind of knew going into about halfway through the year, having that Carolina pick and their own pick. They weren't doing too hot, and Carolina, we all saw how good they were. So they kind of knew halfway through the year, we're going to have Caleb Williams, and we're going to be able to give them another piece. So right as the offseason hit, they got DeAndre Swift, traded for Keenan Allen. I know they also traded for Sweat, was it, from Washington?
Oh, yeah, Montez Sweat. Yeah, he was big second half of their year.
Yeah, he was big I think he led them in sacks. I think he led both of his teams in sacks last year. Re-signed Teron Johnson, who's an incredible cornerback. And then we all saw what they did in the draft with Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze. They addressed the tackle need. They drafted probably the best punter in the draft, which
they did.
Caleb Williams, you're not going to be punting. But, yeah, guy from Iowa, so he better be good at punting because that's just about as much offense as Iowa has. But, yeah,
that's the best offense.
I'm giving the Bears an A. It's up in the air for me between them and maybe the Eagles for best offseason. But I kind of want to give it to the Bears just because of the situation they were in compared to what they are in now. Like, the Eagles were good, and they kind of just got better, but the Bears were the Bears. And now all of a sudden they can be competitive this year for that division.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Eagles. I think we're going to actually have two different opinions on their offseason because I feel like it's overrated and what they did, but that's for another day once we do their recap. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with the Bears. I mean, as a rival, it sucks to see what they did. That I would kind of give two separate grades, though. I would say A, draft. I mean, you land the best QB, Caleb Williams, most talented. Rome Odunze, like the second best receiver, falls to at 9. Everyone thought maybe Atlanta will get Kirk another weapon. Instead, they went completely different, getting Michael Penix, which was a shocker to everyone.
Third best.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors is better than him, but we won't get into
that. Second best, I said. Third. Oh, that's right. I forgot about Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison's just in his own.
Well, Marvin's he was
second best behind Neighbors. Marvison was obviously he's above one. He was consensus all along. Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah. Third best though, technically. Yeah. Although it'll be interesting though, maybe, Malik Neighbors is going to Daniel Jones and Rome Odunze is going to Caleb Williams. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Rome Odunze at least puts up better stats.
No.
I would say free agency wise, it was good that they were able to trade for Keenan Allen. He, even though he's on the older side, he, has a small route tree. It's kind of like everything short to intermediate. So like his game ages. It's not like he was like a Tyreek Hill burst player. Speed is what separates him, even though Tyreek's one of the best besides speed. But I'm not sure I loved the DeAndre Swift signing. I still don't think he's that great of a running back. I think his vision is lacks kind of thereof. Like he kind of, chooses like the weird holes that never get anything. And he did good last year in most games, but that was also behind an offensive line led by arguably the greatest center of all time, with Jason Kelce. In that Eagles offensive line that just, is so good run blocking wise. But we've seen him kind of, have like these breakout games where like he has that vision but other times where he just kind of uses a hole that isn't there and tries to force things. So it'll be interesting because Chicago's offensive line still isn't the greatest by any means. But Caleb Williams, they obviously got all the talent. The biggest thing I'm looking for in Caleb Williams is leadership skills. Because I think that's one of the most underappreciated things at the quarterback position is, can you rally a locker room? Because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't lead a locker room, then what kind of quarterback can you actually be? If you don't have all 53 guys in that room behind you, and we've seen examples of that where quarterbacks got the talent but don't have the leadership, and it doesn't transition to on success field, because that's really the only question mark with Caleb, because obviously the arm talent's there, the accuracy, just what he's done at USC without any sort of defensive help. It was incredible to watch, and one of the best college quarterbacks I've ever seen. So it'll be interesting. And obviously the Bears made that decision pretty quickly to move on from Justin Fields to get Caleb, because that's how special they believe he can be. And this is one of the best situations a first overall quarterback has ever gotten into, because the Bears, obviously, with that Carolina trade last year, are not your typical number one overall pick. They're, especially on offense, they got Odunze now, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift in the backfield, Cole Kmet at tight end, and a defense that was vastly improved at the end of last year. Overall, I'd give them solid A- overall combined. Maybe if they could have added one more defensive player or something, that would have been nice. But they were really aggressive, and I like it. I think Ryan Poles did a great job so far in his Bears window as GM to kind of revamp this whole roster.
Do they have Carolina's first round pick next year too?
I don't think so. No,
just those two, and then DJ.
It was like a first, second DJ Moore. They got a haul, but no, I don't. Carolina has their first round pick next year. If they did, man, oh my god.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they did, then they're, because I mean, even if they aren't great this year, they have so many building blocks. It's not like, oh, now we got to bank on getting a receiver in the draft. Nope, you got Odunze, you got your quarterback. Maybe this upcoming draft, if they're not the best, they can get one of the top linemen to help build the line in front of Caleb Williams, or a defensive player, like you just said.
Yeah, no, it'll be exciting to watch. Like you said, Jalen Johnson was a huge re-signing. Obviously, he requested a trade at some point last year, but never happened. They were able to come to an agreement. That was big because he's one of the best cornerbacks in this league, and in a division where NFC North wide receivers are stacked, so you need as much support as you can get.
Kevin Byard too. I completely forgot they got him. They signed him in free agency too. So that's kind of Kevin Byard, the safety.
Oh, that's right. Although he's kind of struggled. He struggled in Philly the second year. But if he can get back to any sort of form he was in Tennessee, that's a huge pickup, because they did lose Eddie Jackson in the free agency process. So we kind of both agree Bears get around an A grade. It's going to be interesting when we do our NFC North predictions, because this Bears team could legitimately win 10 games next year, at least, if everything falls right, of course. Moving on, Minnesota Vikings, obviously my team. So start off with kind of some of the losses. Lost free agent quarterback Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons. There was speculation, his wife from Atlanta. It was something I could see coming. Atlanta paid him $50 million, 180 on the contract. So great for them, man. Danielle Hunter, who's probably the guy I'll miss the most, was always a sacks machine here. Quickest player in NFL history, 250 sacks, games played wise. He obviously had a couple of years he missed due to injury, but last year got back to form under Brian Flores. Kind of like the two biggest losses, but they kind of did a good job replacing this roster with more youth. Obviously, some free agent signings. They went to go get a bridge QB in Sam Darnold, who last year spent the time as a backup to Brock Purdy in San Francisco, learning under Kyle Shanahan, which alone hopefully I think made him a better QB, at least, if you ever need to step in. Andrew Van Ginkel on defense for Miami, underrated linebacker, kind of do it all. Blake Cashman from the Texans, who actually ranked high in run coverage and pass coverage and was ranked the 8th linebacker overall from PFF. I know that's nothing. Like PFF is people have opinions,
Yeah.
but it at least means something because he got paid 3-year deal. Former Golden Gopher, which is cool too. And then also getting defensive end Jonathan Grenard to kind of replace that Daniil Hunter main replacement, 12.5 sacks last year, kind of a breakout year for him for the Houston Texans under D'Amico Ryans. So that was great to see getting 2 Texans defenders. So that kind of helped elevate that Texans team. Andrew Van Ginkel, that was kind of their main pieces. And then running back Aaron Jones to a 1-year deal, kind of a playoff performer with the Packers. When he's on the field, he's a beast, and he'll be a good combo with Ty Chandler. And they obviously got some depth pieces at receiver and stuff, but draft traded up to get J.J. McCarthy, national champion quarterback from Michigan. It'll be interesting to see how they play it. I trust Kevin O'Connell will develop him, won't rush him into anything that's not necessary. But it'll be interesting to see how him and Sam Darnold do through training camp. And then trading up to get arguably the best defensive player in this draft, Dallas Turner from Alabama. Just a freak of nature as an athlete. One of the biggest knocks on him for why he started falling was kind of his lack of pass rushing moves. But, when you look at Brian Flores, I think this was kind of his pick. Brian Flores, as you know, as a New England Patriots fan, can kind of, when he identifies talent, he can make the most of it, as we saw with that team as the defensive coordinator with the Patriots to win that last Super Bowl they got against the Rams. So I'm excited to see, because I feel like even losing Daniil Hunter, that the defense got better. The offense got some good pieces. And I'm just excited, not only for this year, because this year we don't know how things will play out. The only thing that'll make this better is a JJ contract extension this summer, which is what we're all hoping for. But this is also kind of a 2-year plan. They obviously still have some holes at cornerback in defensive line interior-wise. But they are also top 3 in cap space next year. Obviously, that might be like top 10 depending on the JJ contract. But they can, address those needs in free agency next year, and they still were able to keep their first-round pick next year despite trading up. So whatever happens, this is kind of a 2-year plan. I'm not expecting anything great this year from the Vikings. But I think it's a good step in building that roster out that you want to on this rookie scale contract with J.J. McCarthy. So I'm excited. I would give it, if you're looking to compete for a Super Bowl, this isn't an A grade, but the Vikings, this is like a 2-year plan where I think next year win 7 games again, just kind of get better, maybe 8, and then next year address the rest of the needs throughout the roster. And I think with that cap space in draft capital, you still can with that first-round pick. So I give it an A-. I thought they pretty much did everything I wanted to do when they moved on from Kirk Cousins, because I'm not paying him $50 million a year to play quarterback for me.
No, I agree with you. At Kirk's age, coming off
Torn Achilles.
a detrimental injury to almost any athlete, unless you're like superhuman, is you're not paying that guy $50 million. But I gave him a different grade than you. I understand from a Vikings standpoint, you probably see it a different way than I do as a Vikings fan. I do love the Sam Darnold signing. I think Sam Darnold in the right situation can be pretty productive.
I'm excited to see that. Like him, how old did he do?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a perfect guy for McCarthy to sit behind for a year or two, because McCarthy's young, and I'm seeing it so much with the Packers. I'm a big fan of letting a rookie QB sit for a year just to learn, because Packers fans were so mad at drafting Jordan Love, and now they probably have their quarterback for the next 10 years, barring any injuries or anything crazy. So I'm a huge fan of the Sam Darnold signing. Van Ginkel, like I said the other day, he's super underrated, but I was saying I was more in the B+ area for offseason grade. I think Dallas Turner was like the pickup of the draft for them. I did not think he was going to fall that far and then go to the Vikings. So I think that's huge for you guys that you picked up arguably the 2 most important pieces on each side of the ball in the same round, in the same draft.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I mean A minus, B plus. That's not too far off at all. I think, but like I said, I think this is just a hard step plan, and it would be an A if they could get that Jefferson extension done
Yeah.
sometime this summer. Um, but I think the plan is good. And when we talk about great quarterback situations, this is kind of where I've criticized the Patriots and teams like the Commanders. Drake May, if they threw him in now, he's in an awful situation. It's like a New York apartment that has rats and every shit in it. It's just not. It's not an
Oh,
offense you want to be in.
that's
And it's the
crazy.
same with Jaden
Yeah.
Daniels. Like you have Terry McLaurin, but there's not much. Caleb Williams, you have a trio of receivers. If you're JJ McCarthy, you're like, I have TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones. It's like a furnished apartment. It's like you got all these pieces around you to help you succeed. And same for Sam Darnold if he starts. Like Sam Darnold with the Jets had Robbie Anderson as his wide receiver one, and a terrible offensive line. When with this offensive-minded head coach, I think it's the perfect situation for anyone to step into and at least be decent. I think it's like a Brock Purdy situation where you just got
Yeah.
weapons all over the place. You're building out this defense that went from 31st in the season, they won 13 games, to 15th last year, and then they added all these pieces. Shout out to Brian Flores because that man was putting together a pile of shit and made it somehow decent. So now that he's getting his guys, I'm expecting this defense arguably to be top 10 next year, around there, give or take. If they were 15,
They probably have the defensive rookie of the year favorite right now.
Yeah, that's right too. Odds on favorite right now. So I'm excited. Like I said, I'm not expecting playoffs or like at least a division title. Like just this is a 2-step plan in my opinion, and I'm excited. But I think the NFC North is just so stacked. It's gonna be great football to watch.
Yeah.
As we'll talk about the Lions and Packers and stuff.
Do you think there's any possibility at all? Say Vikings are sitting like, they're last in the division. They're young and they're just trying to build up McCarthy, so they're not really winning games. Can you see Jefferson getting traded? Like if
he signs the extension this summer, no way.
Because I mean he's going to be wanting. What did Amon-Ra just get? 35 a year, something.
Yeah, well, that's what he's going to get paid. I think they almost got done the game. I don't know what it is with contracts getting done like the day before the NFL season, but they almost got done last year. It was kind of like the guarantees that came into play. But I think eventually the Vikings will just give it up, and I think they have the draft. And there was also question marks about Jefferson wanting to know the plan. And now that I think, he's been in touch with McCarthy, I think everything will work out now. Kind of wait before training camp. I think it'll get done before training camp, so in the next month or two. But we'll see. If it's not signed, if he's not signed before the season, maybe we can have that discussion if they're underperforming and he wants out. But if he's signed, there's no way because this.
Yeah, no.
Like I said, I'm not expecting them to win 10 games next year. I think this is kind of a step, especially if McCarthy isn't playing and Sam Darnold is just straight trash. I don't know. But I'm excited. I don't think this is a Jefferson trade, but we'll see what happens. You never know, I guess. But yeah, is there anything else you want to add to these two teams? Or
no, I think both these teams that we touched on had really good off seasons and like built on what they had to build on.
Sad part is that these still may be the third and fourth place teams in the NFC North, despite all the good additions they made. As we talk about the Packers and Lions tomorrow, like we said, 2 playoff teams last year. Should be an exciting recap. But with that being said, thank you all for listening to this Vikings Bears recap, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.